Hello, my friend, and welcome to Pro Wrestling Daily. My name is Aaron Machbitz. It looks like the New Day are expected to sign with AEW. This means Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods are expected to sign with AEW, which is All Elite Wrestling. A number of big names in AEW are really pushing internally for the New Day to end up with AEW. So obviously nothing is guaranteed at this point. Maybe they're going over sort of the number that it would take to get AEW to get the New Day in AEW. But I'm sure there's plenty of talent inside AEW that is pushing for that, because obviously it brings more eyes to AEW, which is really what they want, right? All of the New Day fans would then realistically speaking, would come over to AEW and watch that product, because we know sort of Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods have been WWE guys for a very, very long time. Very few people expected them to ever leave the company because they're so well respected, they're so decorated, they're amazing talent. People love them in the locker room, fans love them, they've had historic careers. People expected them to be with WWE for the rest of their lives, at least for the rest of their careers, but they're gone. They walked out for pay cuts, for TKO issues, for contract restructuring, all these types of things that said, we don't need this anymore. We will go elsewhere. Now there is somewhere else for them to go, and that is AEW. And people are expecting them to land at AEW very, very soon. Now we've seen kind of WWE lifers go there. We saw Edge go there. We saw Chris Jericho go there. We also saw CM Punk come out of retirement, go to AEW. Now he's back in WWE. Now, I think this could potentially change the game a little bit, but I don't think it's going to shake up the entire wrestling industry. Now, the New Day going to AEW is a huge deal. It will bring more eyes, but I don't think it will elevate AEW to the spot where it sort of matches or equals WWE, unless sort of the rest of the show starts becoming really top-notch and they start producing television that is better than WWE. Because right now, WWE's television is mediocre at best. And so it would be the best time right now, as of May 13th, 2026, for AEW to produce the most compelling, interesting, and storylines that fans can get invested in right now. Because WWE is just sort of riding their WWE name, and mostly they care about greed and money, and they're not producing the best storylines that we've ever seen. Now, there's some stuff that's going well, for sure. Obviously, I thought Backlash was a fantastic PLE, and 4 out of the 5 matches were phenomenal. But Monday Night Raw recently was kind of boring. They have repeated the same ending to Monday Night Raw with Jacob Fatu and Roman Reigns 3 weeks in a row. And New Day are massive, massive stars. Now, Tommaso Ciampa just went to AEW as well. That didn't really shake up the industry. Tommaso Ciampa is not nearly as big of a star as the New Day. But Edge, one of the biggest stars in wrestling history, is in New Day, or is in AEW, right? Chris Jericho, one of the biggest stars in the history of professional wrestling, WWE, is in AEW. So those two things haven't really elevated AEW past WWE, and I don't think anything ever will elevate AEW past WWE. There's just too much history with WWE that fans have too much nostalgia, too much love, too much too much passion for WWE, that they have a hard time going to anything else, even though some people just constantly shit on WWE while that being the only product that they watch. But I do think that AEW can capitalize on the buzz they get from the New Day if done correctly, and they could really catapult themselves a little bit higher and higher than they already are in regards to WWE, because there really is no war. There's just alternatives. Also, TNA is an alternative. AEW is an alternative, right? Things of that nature. Being an independent superstar is an alternative, as Matt Cardona / Zack Ryder taught us. And so it could be interesting for the professional wrestling business if the New Day actually does sign with AEW. So we will wait and see. And then another interesting development, which I've talked about on this show before, is that Stephen A. Smith, again, now even more than before, is being reportedly brought up in a lot of very serious internal discussions within WWE. This is Stephen A. Smith, who is a sports broadcaster on ESPN, and now we know ESPN and WWE have a partnership, and so they're trying to bring in more people to create more mainstream buzz, even though Stephen A. Smith is really only popular with the sports culture and in the United States, so I don't know really what sort of audience they're garnering, but maybe this is an ESPN decision, and so people backstage, apparently, who are unhappy with Pat McAfee's recent involvement are said to be favorable toward the idea of getting Smith involved. I just don't agree with this. I would much rather have Pat McAfee, who's a lifelong WWE fan and someone who actually cares about the WWE business way more than I would want Stephen A. Smith in there, who'd simply do the job and get paid for the clout. He's not doing it because he loves wrestling. He's not doing it because he loves WWE or the product or the fans. He's doing it simply for another paycheck and for the clout and for more people to watch his show or his podcast. Pat McAfee being kind of forced, it wasn't Pat McAfee's choice to be involved in Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes. It was what they told Pat McAfee he was doing. I love Pat McAfee. I think he's great in WWE. I think that spot was the wrong spot for him. But there's absolutely no way that people are more favorable of Stephen A. Smith, a random nobody in the professional wrestling business who doesn't even care about wrestling and doesn't know shit about it, than over Pat McAfee, who's loved wrestling his whole life, and this was one of his dreams to be in part of WWE. Pat McAfee, way more favorable. You just have to put him in the right spot and not in one of the biggest matches in WrestleMania history with Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes 2 weeks before the match, where it just seems, forced and contrived and doesn't make any sense. That's the problem. Pat McAfee, not so much the problem. And so I think we will see Stephen A. Smith in WWE at some point, but I cannot agree with the fact that some people backstage think it's more favorable than Pat McAfee. That's ridiculous. Now, I wonder if Stephen A. Smith is going to learn how to bump. Is he going to take a bump? Is he going to throw a punch? Is he going to get put through a dang table? What's the deal? Or is he just going to kind of be a mouthpiece? Or is he just going to maybe host a show? Or what's the vibe for Stephen A. Smith? I'm interested to see that, and I'm also interested to see how fans that have no idea who he is react to him on WWE TV. So those are a couple updates happening in the world of WWE and professional wrestling. So let me know what you think about those things in the comments down below. Then like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Lots of love. Cheers.